Good evening and welcome to EmpowerU. I'm Betty Overstreet, one of the EmpowerU board members. EmpowerU is the brainchild of Dan Reginald, CEO of Frame USA. His vision was to present useful information on diverse topics and timely issues that fulfill our mission to educate, enjoy, and engage. We are now, or we're about to finish, our 13th semester. It is easy to register for any class. Simply access our website at empoweruohio.org, scroll down to the class and click on the register link. Or if you would like to provide your email when you register, when you come in, you will receive an email that you can register off of also. Most of our classes are presented virtually online. Go to the website 10 minutes before start time and click on the Join in Class link. You can also watch many of our classes at a later date. At the end of our program, there will be time for questions from those in attendance as well as our virtual attendees. We ask you to please remember to wait for a microphone to be given to you so that those listening online can hear your questions. EmpowerU is a free university powered by donations. The costs incurred include website, constant contact, printing and advertising, virtual, some speaker and personnel expenses. To allow us to continue offering these classes, we always pass a bucket towards the end of our class. We welcome any small donation and thank you for understanding the costs that we incur. Please feel free to provide any comments or feedback on any session you have attended. Also, we value your input on any ideas, topics, or speakers that you may have. You can reach us at info@empoweruohio.org. Thank you for attending tonight's session, and at this time, I'm pleased to introduce, I'm not sure who, EmpowerU's Executive Director, Nita Thomas.
Thank you. I want to welcome everyone for coming tonight, or thank you for coming tonight and welcome you. And I just want to tell you about the rest of our classes. We're actually getting near to the end of our semester. I can't believe it. But the one we're going to have Thursday is on the life of Justice Scalia. Have all of you kind of followed what was happening when Justice Gorsuch was trying to be confirmed and all the brouhaha surrounding that? And they kept comparing him to Justice Scalia. And the gentleman who's given this course has studied Justice Scalia for a long time, and he's going to explain why he was so extraordinary, what made him different, and why they wanted to replace somebody, which I think is screaming now, why they wanted to replace him with somebody like him. So I really recommend you come to that Thursday. It's going to be a real treat. And then on May 9th, we're going to have Todd Portman at Price Hill Chili. Do we have any West Siders here? Okay. Uh, we have anybody that will go to the West? It's going to, no? Good. Okay. It's going to be a Price Hill Chili. And so that should be interesting. We can ask Todd what he thinks, what his priorities are for Hamilton County and see if it match ours. And then on May 18th, we'll have something on the east side. We have anybody from the east side? Good. Okay. We're going to have uncontained container gardening, and that's going to be at Greenfield Plant Farm in Anderson Township. And it's a beautiful old barn. Have you been there? It's really just a gem of a place. It's like one of the hidden treasures of Ohio. So if you can come there, that would be great. And then the end of the season is going to be June 7th. We're going to have our cookout celebration. This year, we're actually going to have it at this location instead of the Glendale Lyceum outside in the back. And we'll have Brian Thomas will do the MC, and we'll have Mike DeWine speak. And we're also going to have Chris Munzel and Chris Smitherman, who called the three of them the Rat Pack. So they will be here. So anyway, I hope to see you at some of the further events, and I would like to introduce to you the managing board member, Dan Reginald.
Thank you, Nita. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the PowerU Studio. Good to see you. I think we've got a few new people in there. Raise your hand. Welcome. We're glad you could join us. And, we have about 20 or 25 free classes every semester. This semester ends on June 7th. Our next semester will start the third week in September. So we'd love to have you join us in the future. So a couple things. Well, first of all, we're going to have a nice giveaway. It's going to be spurts. We've got this nice cooler to keep your drinks cool. So get your tickets out. I'll ask our guest, Dr. Rissover, to pick a lucky number. And that number is, it ends in the 3 digits, 706. All right, a newcomer. Your name is? Let's give Lainey a round of applause. There you go. Congratulations. So we try to, some of our classes we advertise on Facebook to just get some new people to come to our classes. And so we tried to put up an ad about Dr. Rissover, and it rejected the ad. I can't believe that, because it said, we will not accept, this is how PC the world has become, we will not accept any advertisements that have to do with enhancing your body image. So that's where the world is going to, folks. But as far as I'm concerned, any class that the doc would want to teach would be a great one. I mean, this guy has the shortest biography I've ever heard for such an incredibly talented man who's been my doctor for a long time now, and I'm just glad to have him teach his third class here. Dr. Jay Rissover practices internal medicine at Blue Ash Internal Medicine and speaks frequently on health and wellness. He's practiced since 1989. Dr. Rissover has done numerous public speaking engagements, including co-hosting Take Charge of Your Health on 55 KRC in 2013 and 14. It has appeared frequently on WKRC, WGRR, WLW, WKRQ, and channels 9, 12, 5, and 19, I guess just about all of them. He also is the founder of kind of what's become the chicken soup cook-off in January, which is just an incredible charitable initiative that I seem to miss in January. I seem to be out of town at a trade show then, but it's really quite an effort. So we're really glad to have Dr. Jay Rissover here tonight. So let's welcome him.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you so much. I hope you can all hear me. I hope I don't vibrate too much. Now, I had to wear the hat for just a moment because nobody would recognize me without my hat. But since the camera's up there, you can't see my face, I'm not going to wear it. But I just want to prove that it's really me, Dr. Jay Rissover, here tonight. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for those kind words, Dan. And really, I want to thank you, Betty, Nita, and Dan. EmpowerU is an amazing resource for those of us citizens. They educate us on political topics and non-political topics. Of course, I am on the latter, very much so. But Dan, thank you so much for all you do. EmpowerU and everything. You guys are the best. So, let's see if the technology works. It's so high tech that I have to press 2 different PowerPoints at once to make it work. Let's see. Well, that's working, so that's good. So I'm an internist in general practice, 30 years now in Blue Ash. And while I don't specialize in weight control, I do have an interest in it. In fact, I see some patients here who will definitely not identify by name or pointing at them. But I do talk about weight and exercise and healthy living almost every time. One thing I should probably start first. Wait a minute. Have you guys heard about this new diet, garlic diet? Oh, it's great, the garlic diet. You don't really lose weight, but everybody's so far away from you, you look thinner. So I have with me our nemesis today. Sorry about that. This, of course, is 5 pounds of fat. Isn't that exciting? How wonderful. Can you get this on the camera? Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, this is what we're talking about. And sadly, so many of us have this and more floating around us. I'm just going to kind of put it right there. So you can see that and think about it while we talk about weight control here. Here's hoping that it works. Obesity, the disease of affluence, and it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. In fact, if you look at this particular cartoon, which I got from the UK, they have the NHS emblems on their caps. And of course, it's the National Health Service of the UK. So obesity is an epidemic. You hear it. I'm not going to go into all the diseases associated with obesity. We've heard that before. But we do know that it is, hello, no, that's perfect. So what is obesity? And this is actually a 5'5" tall woman here. And normal weight is right here. So you got a 19 to 24.9. If you're a 25 BMI, then you're a little overweight. What's the BMI? The body mass index. And it's not exactly accurate, but an okay measure of being overweight. I mean, someone like Shaquille O'Neal will have a very high BMI. So nowadays he might deserve it because I guess he's not in that fit anymore. But it generally works for people. It's kind of sad because we've kind of gotten so used to people being a little overweight that we really think of this as normal. And, you know, it's not bad, and certainly it's better to be this than this. It's better to be this than this. It's better to be this than this. But normal is all the way over here. 5'5" woman, 130 pounds. Sounds very small, doesn't it? Yeah, it's amazing the way we kind of think these days. In fact, look at me. I'm accused. My partner actually asked me, you know, am I anorexic? Am I underweight? Am I unhealthy? I'm always trying to eat and exercise, and my staff are tired of hearing me talk about the salads I have for lunch, and I'm always worrying about the extra pound I gained. I have to work out. I have to exercise to be like this. It's not just something I was born with. When I turned 50, I started gaining weight, and I really had to start working on my weight. But I measured myself today, so I'm 5'11". I weighed 168 pounds this morning. I vary between 165 and 170. So I am 24.8 of BMI, 24.8. So I am here barely. And if I gain 2 pounds, I'd be 2.5, I'd be overweight. So again, you know, people look at me and think I look skinny. Yeah, I'm normal weight, barely. So what we want to do is, of course, this is very significant, very bad. None of us are looking across the thank goodness are here. But a lot of us are in this group. And in fact, as you can see, in the United States, most people are overweight. And we know this. We go to the malls, we walk around, you can see it. You know, they're making larger seats in airplanes. The clothing sizes are changing. You know, 35% of people are overweight. 34% are obese. And that is, of course, obese, this group. And only 29% are healthy, supposedly my weight, and then 2% are underweight. Sadly, those people are generally pretty sick. So what is obesity? Well, we kind of know what it looks like. This is pretty bad. And in fact, in this, according to the picture I got on the internet of this young lady, she's eating all that food because she thinks she needs to gain a little bit more weight to be sexy. So I don't know, I believe the post, but sadly, this woman does need to lose weight. She is morbidly obese. This is a very bad. So let's talk about that. I have a series of things I'm going to go through: diet, surgeries, medications, fads, and facts. So let's start with diet, shall we? I love this. And this is just chocolate is a salad. Of course it is. Of course it is. Well, you know, salads are good, but let's talk about a few diets. Now, let's see. Yeah, I'm here in the first one. So this, who's an expert on diets? Well, everybody. I prescribe diets all the time. I've gone through this. There's 100 different diets. And in fact, I have a list at the end of this. As I understand it, the PowerPoint will be available on the website at the end. So I have 100 different diets listed if you're curious. But U.S. News and Report seems to think they're the people who can grade everything. They grade colleges, they grade hospitals, they grade business schools, they grade everything. So they graded diets. Since this is from March of 2017, I thought, okay, it's relatively recent, I'll take it. The DASH diet, they counted number one. I like the DASH diet. I've recommended it for years. It's a 30-year-old diet, great diet. The Mediterranean diet, those of you who are here at 5 Ways to Live Longer, my first lecture here at EmpowerU, we talked about the Mediterranean diet. I learned something new, the MIND diet. We'll talk about it in a moment. And then they had a 4-way tie for 4th place, the flexitarian diet, the Mayo Clinic diet, the TLC, which is not tender loving care, the Weight Watchers diet, which you may have heard of, and I would mention 2 diets I would recommend, the Dukan diet or the Packard Weight Health Plan. So let's get into some of these diets. The DASH diet is a 30-year-old diet from the American Heart Association. It's the dietary approaches to stop hypertension. And of course, it was designed to lower blood pressure and involves a low-sodium, healthy diet. There are things like potassium and calcium. These nutrients, if they're in your diet, help lower your blood pressure. And of course, you want to avoid that iron sodium, which raises blood pressure. So they took this and worked out a diet, which is basically fruits, veggies, whole grains, lean protein, low-fat dairy. They emphasize that. And you avoid things like calorie and fat-laden sweets and red meat. And of course, it's low salt. That's the DASH diet. And it works well. People lose weight on it. And it is a good diet to do. And this is kind of what it looks like. You see a presentation here. This is the whole grain, 6 to 8 servings a day. Notice this is not a low-carb diet. I mean, low-carb diets are great, and we'll talk about them, but really you don't have to lose weight on a low-carb diet. If you like carbs, you can have them. So I would prefer higher fiber carbs. And then lots of fresh fruits and vegetables. 2/4 is this. Then only about 1/4 or so is your lean protein, even less fats and sweets, and then some low-fat dairy. Not high-fat, but low-fat dairy. So that's the DASH diet. Here's another way to look at it, and I don't want to spend a lot of time. It's complicated, but again, if you really want some help on this, you can get the PowerPoint. You can read this in detail. 4 to 5 servings per day of fruits, 4 to 5 servings per day of vegetables. Think about that. Does anybody eat 4 servings of vegetables in a day? Plus 4 servings of fruits? I mean, this is a healthy diet. And then 6 servings of whole grains, though these servings are small, I would say. So anyway, the second diet, the Mediterranean diet. We talked about it in my last lecture. You've heard about it. The idea is to reduce heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. It's a great diet. It was founded on the observation that people live around the Mediterranean Sea, think Italy, Greece, etc., tend to eat differently, and they tend to live longer and have less diseases than Americans do. And part of their secret is, of course, they exercise more, they walk more. If you've been to Europe, you know they have a lot more stairs, a lot less elevators, a lot less cars, do a lot of walking. So, that's just kind of the lifestyle. That's part of it. But also they eat differently than us, a lot less fast food, a lot more fresh foods. So the Mediterranean diet, in one study in 2004, and I mentioned this previously, and people 70 to 90 years old who ate a Mediterranean diet and had a healthful lifestyle, which means moderate exercise. They had a 50% lower rate of all-cause and cause-specific mortality. So all causes and specific causes like heart attack and stroke. So, it's a very healthy diet. This is a very pretty picture that kind of tells you what it looks like. There's, of course, lots of grains at the bottom. You get a lot of grains in this diet. Another non-low-carb diet, and lots of fruits and vegetables, and less of the meats and sweets and all. Here's an easier way to see that pyramid, though. That was a pretty picture. But again, lots of bread and pasta, vegetables, beans, legumes, and nuts and fruits. Then olive oil, a fair amount of olive oil. And while it's not pictured here, you can have some red wine on this diet. This is why everybody loves the Mediterranean diet. And then daily, a little bit of cheese and yogurt. And then not daily is fish and poultry, and then less eggs, and then meat maybe twice a month or something. Not very often. Mediterranean diet, very healthy diet. So we're going to talk a lot about eating and different ways to eat. I guess this is one diet. I need to eat a skinny person. Well, that would make you skinny, I guess. But let me talk to you about the mind diet. I've never heard of this diet before. I looked it up. It's a fascinating diet. It's really simple. It's the Mediterranean diet plus the DASH diet. You have all the joys of both of those diets put together. It's called the Mediterranean DASH Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. I thought I could say that. So it's supposed to lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, lower the risk of disease, but also lower the risk of Alzheimer's, memory loss, neurodegenerative decay. And a quite interesting thing, it emphasizes 10 brain-healthy food groups, green leafy vegetables in particular, then all of the vegetables, nuts, berries, beans, whole grains, fish and poultry, olive oil, and wine. 1 glass of red wine a day. This is supposed to help your brain. But you avoid things like red meats, butter, stick margarine, cheeses and pastries. You avoid cheeses on this diet. And sweets and fried or fast foods. And it comes from an epidemiological study. It's a relatively new diet designed in 2015 by Martha Claire Morris, who is a nutritional epidemiologist. And she did a modest study, and she found that the diet lowered Alzheimer's risk by about 35% in people who followed it moderately well, and up to 53% in those who adhered to it very rigorously. That's only in 144 participants. in the Chicago area, seniors. So, it's a very small group, but it did show some potential benefit. More research needs to be done, but it's just an interesting diet. And a picture of it again would be something like this. Oh, wait a minute. Not pushing these along. No, I'm sorry about that. So this is a pictorial presentation of it. Beans or legumes at least every day, poultry at least twice a week. 5-ounce glass of red wine each day. What a shame. And then not a lot of margarine and butter, not a lot of cheese and fried foods. Um, one dark green salad, one vegetable each day. Berries twice a week. So interesting, the mind diet. So it gets confusing. On this diet, you can eat all the steak you want, but a slice of bread will kill you. On this other diet, you can eat all the bread you want, but a slice of steak will kill you. Haven't you heard this from us? Haven't you heard this? Right? Saturated fats will kill you. Then Atkins came out. Eat all the bacon and saturated fats you want. You won't die. And diets are pretty crazy. So here's 4 other diets. And again, none of them are terribly crazy. These are the top 4 in the U.S. News and Report. The flexitarian diet is basically a flexible vegetarian diet. Please tell me I did it right. Good. Um, it's mostly vegetarian all the time, except once in a while you can cheat and have a piece of meat. And it's pretty simple. And most vegetarian diets are good for people. They lose weight, and they have a lower risk of a variety of diseases, cancers, diabetes, etc. But it depends again on how you eat that food. If it's full of fats and full of mashed potatoes and noodles, that's not necessarily healthy for anybody. The Mayo Clinic diet, another one that emphasizes fruits, veggies, and whole grains. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We're beginning to get the pattern here, aren't we? But in this one, what they specifically ask you to do is to fill up on these low-calorie dense foods. And I've recommended this for years, too. It's a way to help you. You eat a lot of salad, and then your stomach is kind of full, and then you don't really feel like eating that pastry. Sometimes you don't feel like eating the pastry, but at least you can tell yourself, I feel full, I don't feel comfortable, I don't want to eat any more food. And you fill up on these nice, nutritionally healthy, calorie not dense foods. And that's the Mayo Clinic diet. The therapeutic lifestyles diet is basically a low cholesterol diet, a low saturated fat, low cholesterol diet, designed kind of for heart disease, but it does work quite well. Again, a high fiber, low cholesterol diet. And then Weight Watchers, totally different program, very old, a venerable program. I'm sure you've all heard of it. Maybe you've been on it. It involves points where foods are assigned points. And but it's really strength-based. If you're in a group setting, you have weigh-ins, you have a person you have to talk to. You even have an app you can download, put on your phone. You scan food and it'll tell you how many points it is. You go to the grocery store. So, it's a good, robust kind of thing. All diets have issues. You have to live with them as a lifetime, not just for a few weeks. So, and I want to mention briefly a couple diets. Oh, first, here's a picture of the Mayo diet. Oh, I skipped that. God, I'm not advancing fast enough. I'm sorry. This is the flexitarian, the Mayo Clinic diet, the TLC, and the Weight Watchers. Come on. And that's a picture what the Mayo Clinic kind of looks like. You get sweets at the top, some fats, mostly fruits and vegetables, carbs, a little bit of protein and dairy. Similar kind of thing that we've seen. So other couple diets that aren't so popular and aren't so well known are the Dukan diet and the Packard Health Plan. And I found out about them just from friends and reading. Dr. Pierre Dukan is a French internist, and Dr. Andrew Packard is actually an East Coast surgeon. It's in New York. And their plans are sort of similar. These are low-carb plans, generally. And then Dr. Dukan's diet, you have to learn to make certain foods or learn how to eat certain foods because it works on specific foods at different times of day and suggests things for breakfast and for lunch and then for dinner. And if you do well, you go through the phases, then you can start relaxing it and throwing in some more carbs. So, but you have to read the book and get the book to do it. But I've had a fair number of people be on this diet, not be hungry, and lose good weight, and able to maintain the weight too. So, I know people who've done well on it. And the Packard Weight Health Plan I can describe to you in 2 minutes. So I've mentioned this to a lot of people. I always like the KISS principle, right? Let's keep it simple. So his plan is pretty simple. You have a protein breakfast. And I do like protein breakfast for anyone who's trying to lose weight because you eat a carb breakfast, you're hungry again in 2 hours, and you're tired. So a protein breakfast is a very good choice, much better than a bowl of cereal. So protein breakfast, then you have a vegetarian lunch. If you get too hungry with that, you add a piece of meat to it. But a vegetarian lunch, and then you have for supper, it's just portion control. Yes, you can have your vegetables, you have your meat, you can even have some carbs, but you don't get sick. And you watch the portions the first time around. And that's pretty simple. And frankly, if you do that, you'll lose weight. So that's a pretty simple thing. On to other options. We've gone through diets. Like I said, there's 100 more. I'm not going to do them all. So here are weight loss options. The gastric bypass, the donut shop bypass, the pizza parlor bypass, the buffet bypass. So let's talk a little bit about surgical treatment. It is an option. I don't really see too many people here I think should have surgery. You got to be morbidly obese. You got to be pretty bad. But the Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, the laparoscopic sleeve, the adjustable gastric band, and the biliopancreatic diversion, these are people who need massive weight loss, who are really ill from their obesity. And it really improves them too. Then there's liposuction and external lipoid dissolution. That's the cool therapy to lose weight, the ultrasonic that goes through your skin and dissolves fat. Those are really more cosmetic procedures. But who needs surgical procedures? Well, this guy does. That's sad. I feel sorry for him. And thank God nobody is like that. So that's that morbid obesity. That's a stage 4, stage 3. He's probably 40, 45 BMI. I don't know how many pounds he is. I don't follow you. But that's too much. Probably has diabetes, probably has arthritis of the knees, probably hardly can walk, probably has high blood pressure, heart disease. So this is a guy who the gastric bypass actually may make some sense. So let's talk a little bit about surgical treatment. That might be interesting for you. Oh, I skipped this. Come on, man. Not going backwards? There. Sorry, there's too many buttons. So this is normal anatomy. I just wanted you to see it for a moment. This is a normal chest. The esophagus is here. Here's your stomach. Here's the duodenum. And so this is the anatomy gets cut up and moved around in these kind of surgeries. There's an endoscope. We'll talk about that later. So you get a feel for where it is. Come on. I'm pressing the button. The Roux-en-Y. So this is a classic gastric bypass, the very first surgical procedure, and still done and still works well. And it's pretty simple in a way. You see, you cut the stomach here. The esophagus, the stomach gets cut. And then the small bowel gets cut, sewn shut. And then you pull up that loop that you cut there, pull it up there and attach it to this little bit of the stomach that's left. And so food comes from the esophagus to the small bowel and just goes through, bypassing the stomach, the duodenum, and some of the small bowel, bypassing the pancreatic digestive juices, the gallbladder digestive juices that all enter here. They do come in and they mix, so that helps and solves some nutritional and vitamin deficiencies, but not a lot. So it's hard to absorb nutrients, and that's what happens. So the advantages are it produces really good weight loss, 60 to 80% of your excess weight. So that guy needs this. I mean, he's 3 people. He needs to lose 2 of them. So this would help him. It also restricts the amount of food that you can consume at one time. It changes your gut hormones. And you're going to see that in all these surgeries. They all change the way your gut hormones make you feel full. And they can maintain greater than 50% weight loss. So that is good. But the disadvantages are, of course, it's a surgical procedure. It's pretty complicated. You'll have a hospital stay of several days. There can be complications from the surgery. Long-term vitamin mineral deficiencies happen. We are bypassing your absorptive process. So you need to take vitamins. You may need blood tests to check on your vitamin levels. You need to follow with a doctor with this kind of surgery. So you have to have a dietary recommendation you adhere to. You can't really eat huge meals. It kind of runs through you. But so it has its place. Here's another procedure. Belly button enlargement. Popular alternative to other types of weight loss procedures. So let's look at the laparoscopic sleeve gastrectomy. Very simple surgery, still a little complicated, but you just cut away 2/3 of the stomach and remove it. It's gone. And so you have like this banana-like 1/3 of the stomach, and the food just kind of goes through, and that's what happens. And so it's a simpler procedure, restricts the amount of food the stomach can hold. You have a smaller hospital stay. You still have a little bit of vitamin deficiencies, but much, much less than all the other procedures. There's no foreign objects, and you can get weight loss of 50%. So a very good procedure. I'm going to try not to turn around. But the disadvantages are, of course, it's non-reversible, just like the Roux and Y. Hello. Yeah. The disadvantages are, just like the Roux and Y, it's not reversible. It has the potential for deficiencies. And of course, early on, there's some complications. Now, what about the gastric band? You've all heard about that, the adjustable gastric band, the laparoscopic adjustable gastric band, or the lap band. As you see in the picture, it's very simple. You take this rubber band, you put it around the stomach, and you fill it with saline, and it squeezes off the stomach. So really, you can only put food in this part of the stomach. And then that gets full, and then you don't eat anymore. And then it slowly trickles through here, then you have normal digestion. The reason for this little port in this container should have a port like right there under your skin is you can actually adjust the band. You can stick a needle in with some saline and put the saline in, take it out, and adjust the amount of intensity of the band. You can constrict it or relax it. So it's adjustable, it's removable, it's pretty good. It does induce weight loss of 40 to 50%, so not quite as much as the other two, but not bad. A shorter hospital stay, very short, less than 24 hours, same day for surgery for many people. And lowest rate of complication. So pretty good procedure. Has one problem. Sorry you're unhealthy eating habits make your weight loss surgery pointless. You can stretch that little pouch at the top. If you don't change the way you eat, it'll get big, you'll have a huge stomach again, you'll be eating, you'll be gaining weight. So you do have to change the way you eat. And that's not so good if the esophagus starts dilating too. Also, there's some problems in that occasionally the band will slip or erode, you have an infection, it can just break. I mean, it is a device. So, it's not a permanent necessarily kind of thing. So it has the highest rate of reoperation. And then the last procedure, which is the most complicated, is the hardest to say, biliopancreatic diversion with duodenal switch. I'm not sure I can explain it to people. First, you make a sleeve gastrectomy. So you cut your stomach down to 1/3, like before, remove some of the stomach. And then you cut your intestines, but you see, here's the duodenum. You remove it from the stomach, cut it off, and just set up here and close it off. And then the small bowel comes about halfway through your small bowel, 2/3 of the way through your small bowel, you cut. And then that end that you cut up here, you bring up there, you attach to the stomach. So not only do you bypass the duodenum and the pancreas and the gallbladder, you bypass half of your small bowel to 2/3 of your small bowel. It's a huge bypass. Very little food gets absorbed. Very little food. So this is actually a useful procedure because it results in pretty good weight loss. It reduces the absorption of fat by 70%. And is the most effective against diabetes compared to all the other procedures. This can cure diabetes, and often does, even in bad diabetics. So, it's a pretty good procedure. But the disadvantages are, obviously, it's a more complicated procedure, so it will have even higher complication rate, a longer hospital stay, and because it diverts more of the small bowel, you have even more nutritional problems, right? You need more close follow-up with your doctor. You need to take vitamins. You need blood tests. So you need ongoing care. But one other small advantage, which I think I skipped over in the last slide, you can have closer to a normal diet. So it's just sort of good. I'm recommending weight loss surgery. After you remove a couple of potato chips, sew the bag shut. Let's talk about a different surgery, liposuction. And this is exactly what it looks like. In case you can't tell, the person's head is up here. This is their chest. This is their belly. There's their pubic bone. There is the cannula and the liposuction. And he was going to stick that in there and then suck some fat out. Just seems like the right way to go, right? Get rid of this ugly fat. Just go in, stick a needle in, suck it out. Let's get that thing out of here. More than 300,000 procedures are carried out every day each year in the United States. They cost $2,000 or $3,500. It's a cosmetic procedure. It does kind of subtle changes, 4 pounds of fat or so. can't lose 20 pounds of fat with this procedure. So, it's useful if you really want to look good in the bikini and you're, a 25 BMI and you want to get down to a 24, then yeah, this might help. I don't really recommend this to people, but a certain subset of people really want to do this kind of thing. So what can I say? Um, it kind of works like this. You stick it through the skin layer. This is the epidermis and the dermis into the subcutaneous fat. You suck it out. You see that shrinks. And so the skin comes down and shrinks inward. So, it definitely works. And this is kind of what it can look like. So, if you're not really very fat, if you have a little bit of fat there, you can look like that afterwards. So, it has some positive benefits, but there's a lot of different techniques. Briefly, there's so many different ways, and I don't even know how to tell you how to pick it. Don't pick this one dry lipo. They don't do that anymore. Actually, they just stick the catheter in and they suck it out. It's the highest complication, the highest pain load. Wet lipo or tumescent lipo is where they inject saline and lidocaine. Yay, lidocaine, it numbs it up so it doesn't hurt. You suck that in and it mixes with the fat and then you suck that out. And then laser lipo, so you put in some liquid and then you put a laser beam in there and you kind of disrupt all the fat and then you suck it out. Ultrasonic, and this is radio frequency, and this is power assisted. So you just turn up the volume on the suction machine and really suck it out. So all the different techniques, and they work. But this is something advertised a lot recently, the cool weight loss, the cool lipolysis. And so there's the cryolipolysis, the exposure to cold. They put intense cold on your belly, right where the fat is, and it goes through the skin, and it kills fat cells. They die. You absorb them. You get smaller. And it works for a couple of pounds, 1 to 2 pounds. And the sound waves and light waves, radio waves, and there's even a laser one that goes through. Different ways of doing it. They don't lose a lot of weight. Generally painless, generally safe. But all liposuction can lead to problems in terms of dimpling and scarring or changing the sensation of the skin. Much more so the surgical liposuction as opposed to these external ones. So something near and dear to my heart since I'm an internist, pills. What about pills? We're Americans. We got to get cured with pills, right? That's what we do. I love these Weight Watchers pills, these WW pills. Wait, they aren't Weight Watchers pills. You've been reading them upside down. They're M&Ms. Yeah, that won't work. But these are pills that do work. Interesting enough, you can't get them in Ohio anymore. Some 30 years ago, they changed the law in Ohio. You can go to Kentucky and get these pills. They're stimulants. Hell, we have methamphetamine here, right? Phentermine, you've heard that name. Benzodiazepine, you probably heard that one. They're all different schedules of stimulants. They're anorectic agents. They reduce appetite. They work. The state of Ohio, in its infinite wisdom, some 30 years ago, trying to reduce drug problems. You know how well that works when the state of Ohio intervenes and tries to prevent drug problems. That's worked really well, right, with heroin. But they said doctors could only prescribe 2 weeks' worth of these stimulant medicines. And they need to come in the office and get a weigh-in. And if you lost weight, then they can give another 2 weeks supply. So every 2 weeks you come in, you weigh in. That's sort of good for follow-up. Actually, that's great for a weight loss program. You really got to work. You got to make sure you're doing what you can do to lose weight. In many ways, it was good. It was kind of a pain in the butt. And what happens to everybody eventually is you hit your plateau where you don't lose so much weight. And then, of course, what happens? You have to stop prescribing the pills in Ohio, and then you gain the weight back. So that's the state of Ohio. That's the law. So what? Oh, that didn't work. Okay, fine. So anyway, these drugs are what I would kind of recommend. Though this one was removed from the market, just mentioned it in passing. That's the one that caused the heart valve problem that got so much press 10, 20 years ago. Fusimia. This is one of the new medicines, and I've Supranza here. This is another phentermine. Fusimia, it's phentermine and Topamax. Maybe some of you have migraines know about Topamax. It's a medication used for migraines and for seizures. And it was found that this particular drug tend to cause weight loss. So they mix phentermine with it. And the state of Ohio does permit you to prescribe this for a month at a time. So I don't think you have to do 2 weeks. But you do still have to lose weight on it. It's a phentermine drug. So it's still a bit of an issue. But it is effective. I don't tend to use this medicine in my practice, but I do have in the past used the Zenical. This is an interesting medicine. It's been around for a long time now. Orlistat or Zenical. It's an over-the-counter form is Ali. Maybe you've heard of it. It's the fat blocker, right? It blocks the absorption of fat. Wait, that's the perfect drug, right? I can go get as much graters as I want. I can have a cheese coney, and I take this pill, and all the fat is blocked, and then I'm great, right? I don't absorb that fat, and I don't get fat. Except for the fact that what happens to this fat that you've eaten and you didn't absorb, well, it goes to your gut. So it may give you diarrhea. That's a potential side effect of the medicine. It's still actually a great medicine, and people can lose weight with it very easily. It teaches you not to eat too much fat at one time, but also really it will reduce the fat intake for a modest fat diet. So if you really like fatty things, the occasional Alley or Xanacol is probably okay. Pretty safe medicine. Now, if you used a lot of it, it may interfere with fat-soluble vitamins A, B, E, and K. You might need some supplements if you took it all the time and a lot of it. But it may have a place. It's an interesting medication. I think we kind of underuse it now. Nobody really uses it. So here is most of the new medicines. These are great to some extent, as good as any of these medicines. Belviq, Leucoserum. So it's like the opposite of Prozac. That's a serotonin receptor inhibitor. This is a serotonin receptor 2C receptor agonist. So it's a very specific serotonin receptor, and it promotes a feeling of fullness. So you take this pill and you eat less, but you feel full sooner. Now, if you're the kind of person that ignores those feelings, this may not work for you. The package insert says you're supposed to lose 5% of your excess body weight, or 5% of your total weight in 3 months. Otherwise, it's probably not working for you. And a lot of my patients on this will do that. So, pretty good medicine. Then there's Contrave. And this is a combination of bupropion and naltrexone. And these are two different medicines. One's an opiate antagonist, and bupropion is actually a type of antidepressant. And they both have different effects on both hunger and satiety. And naltrexone works directly on the reward centers in the brain, kind of blocking them. So wanting to get that graders is just not quite as attractive to you. It's less rewarding. Which, I don't know, I could use that too, because I love graders. So I've used this medicine. I've used Belviq pretty successfully. And here, great, no DEA, so I can give you a prescription with 6 refills once you're stable and you're using it. I would like to see my weight loss patients frequently. Now, I'm not a weight loss doctor, I'm a regular doctor, but I have a lot of patients trying to lose weight, and I've experimented with a number of these medicines. This one works quite well. Saxenda, liraglutide. It's a GLP-1 glucagon-like peptide inhibitor. Remember in all those surgeries, you read all that annoying print, or heard me talk about how the gut hormones got changed by surgery? That's the gut hormone that changes, glucagon-like peptide. It is in the stomach, secreted by the stomach, and the stomach says, I'm full. When it gets secreted, I don't want any more food. And it delays the emptying of the stomach. It says it's full, don't empty. It needs to digest what it's got. Don't put any more food in here. It's a diabetic medicine called Victoza. And people with diabetes use this medicine, they lose a lot of weight. Very great medicine, very helpful. Limited side effects, occasionally some nausea. I mean, if you keep eating and the stomach doesn't empty, you're going to get nauseated. But it's a daily injectable medicine. They're very simple. It's like a little pen, has a little dial on it. So you put the correct dose in, 5% off. It's really simple. Anybody can do this once a day. And I've had some pretty good success with it. The problem is it's expensive. You can get a coupon to make it $90. It's like $1,000 a month. Can you believe it? But if you're diabetic and you happen to want to lose weight, this is a diabetic medicine, Victoza, and it helps you to lose weight. This is diabetic medicines down here that are also not FDA approved for weight loss. Jardiance, Farxiga, and Volcana. It's SGLT class. Very fascinating diabetic class. That's the sodium glucose transport inhibitor class. They make you pee out sugar. So you urinate away sugar, about 200, 300 calories a day. So something that makes you burn an extra 200, 300 calories a day, makes you pee a little bit. That's a great device. I don't know if they're working on getting that FDA approval as a weight loss agent. It's not exactly as strong as Victoza in weight loss, But both very good medicines, great for diabetics. I try and use these medicines in all my diabetics, and insurance will pay for them so they can afford them. And then I'll mention briefly Topamax. We mentioned it was part of one of the other medications. It's a generic. It's relatively inexpensive. It's for migraines, and it can help with weight loss. Not a great drug, but an adjunct kind of drug. All right. So, how effective are they? Well, weight loss drugs don't work for everyone. Recommended 1 to 2 pounds of weight loss that can be lost safely per week. They can result in a 5 to 10% of your body weight loss, which isn't dramatic, and it's not good for that guy we saw who was 400, 500 pounds. But if you weigh 200 pounds, lose 10%, lose 20 pounds, that's pretty helpful. So yeah, I think it has its place in people. And well, like take a pill. It's easier to take a pill than to eat correctly, isn't it? So let's talk for a moment about some of the things people have done in the past to help them lose weight. It's kind of funny, in fact, when you look at some of the things that are done and some things people are doing right now. So I didn't realize this particular bit. So Lord Byron, who lived in the late 1700s and died when he was 36 in the early 1800s, he was the guy who wrote Don Juan, the famous British poet. He suggested you drink vinegar diluted with water. So it would make you vomit, so you wouldn't gain weight, and then also give you diarrhea if you drank enough of it. And yet I still managed to get laid, because indeed that's one of the things he was known for. Here's something else, 1920s, weight loss became an industry. I'm going to show you some ads from that. So how about a reducing cream that promised to melt off pounds? Something that you smear on you and the fat would ooze out of your pores and leave your body. I love this lady. Why, that sounds peachy and not like something from a horror movie at all. So thankfully it didn't work. But maybe you remember some of these. The weight belt, which I think is making a comeback. That never worked. Vibrate you and make the fat kind of shake off. And here's a glove, the slimmer glove system. It was the same thing as that cream. You smear it on, you rub it on you in the bath, and the fat will just ooze out and go away. And then, of course, there's a variety of exercise things. I always think of Suzanne Summers when I see this. I just love the picture. I mean, that will exercise your adductor muscles. If you need stronger adductor muscles, that's great, but it's really not going to help you get slim. Remember this one, the invigorating body massager? The rotating metal, wooden poles that you do different parts of your body, help you lose weight. Here's some older ones. You get these rubber garments that form fit to certain parts of your body. Now I understand wanting to get rid of jowls. Why you want to get rid of this, I'm not certain. And of course, shapely ankles were very big then, so you wanted to get that there. And then how about this little electric spot reducer? And this wasn't ultrasonic. It was just some kind of electric thing. It probably vibrated. You put it on your belly. You're supposed to get rid of the fat right there. So, we laugh at this. Of course, then here's a modern, the shape weight. That was an exercise machine supposed to exercise you in some way, shape, or form. And then sauna pants. There's a great fad. You put this on and you sweat and you schwitz, and so you would get thinner because you lose some water weight maybe, but that comes right back, sadly. Now, some fads do work, just because they're kind of, crazy. How about this? Cigarettes. Yeah, they help you lose weight. I hope none of you were smoking specifically to lose weight. I think we've learned it may not be the healthiest thing in the world, but yeah, they were advertised for that, and they do help. They reduce the sense of taste, and they also inhibit the brain's appetite. So I don't recommend it. Now here's one, a very interesting fad. It's kind of off and on in the years. I think you can even get it today. I love this. Dr. Quack's tapeworms. Yes, people would ingest tapeworms, and of course the tapeworm lives inside you and eats your food for you, and yeah, you have less calories, so you lose weight. It's a very interesting kind of way to do it. It works. Sometimes tapeworms multiply, your stomach can get really huge, you look like you're pregnant, and that is what a tapeworm looks like. How joyful. So some fads, diet fads are things like focus on a certain food, a single food like the cabbage soup diet or the raw food diet or something. There are detox diets, cleanse you. And I've not even really investigated them, but generally those are probably fads that aren't so good for you. But I will say one thing. For thousands of years, medicine had very few things to prescribe to people. One thing that was used 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, was laxative. You would make people throw up. You would make people have diarrhea. You would empty their bowels. It was a common practice used for a lot of different diseases. And the interesting thing is people generally feel better. I don't know if any of you have ever had a lot of laxatives for, say, a colonoscopy. That's our modern experience. So you get kind of emptied out. You feel lighter. Your bowels just, your clothes fit better. You just, you kind of, you feel good to get rid of all that crud. No studies have been done saying there's some positive benefits to it, but people do kind of feel better. Do I recommend it? No, not really. But I know it's an alternative medicine plan. They cleanse you a lot. They give you laxatives a lot. Other patients tell me, well, I feel so much better after I had this cleanse done. Yeah, well, yeah, I bet you do. I don't know if it helps long lasting. And then there's the HCG diet, human chorionic gonadotropin diet, HCG diet. Sorry, I should slow down. A great diet, because people would really lose weight on it. I just saw a patient today who told me that she really liked that diet. She lost a lot of weight on it, 30 pounds in a month. But you're on 500 calories a day. A normal person should have 2,000. That's an extremely low calorie diet. It's a little dangerous, and in fact, she had some health issues as a result of it, though. She can lose weight a little too fast, a little too low on nutrients. So, other weight loss fads, the apple cider vinegar diet, which is Lord Byron style, right? Binge and purge, tapeworms. Anybody remember the abdominizer or pole dancing? Gravity boots. So there's a lot of fads out there for weight loss. Yeah, yeah, I've had this. I keep losing and gaining the same 5 pounds. I've done it so many times, I can't begin to tell you. It's a sad truth. But some people actually do lose weight. And really, we can be successful. And I know people who have done it. And you all know some people who have done it. Here's a picture. I just got this from the internet, but I think this girl has done a very good job. Now, she's not skinny, but she is much better than what she was. She's gone from a class 3 to overweight, you know? And that is very helpful and good. And some of you may recognize this guy. He apparently lost a lot of weight too, but I don't know if he did surgery or a band or something. But he lost a very considerable amount of weight. And I had a young lady I happen to know who lost 65 pounds just with diet and exercise. I mean, it can happen. You can do it. So how do you do it? All right, I'm sorry. I don't have magic for you. I don't have this magic pill to work. Sustainable fat weight loss is a complete lifestyle change. That's the trick. It's not a 12-week eating plan. When I turned 50 10 years ago, I hit the highest weight I ever was in my entire life. It was not very high because I was naturally thin. I said, I'm not going to get fat like my parents. And they were fat. I said, I'm going to live differently. I started exercising. I started eating better. I never had to pay attention. I had to start paying attention. And so I'm pretty much the same weight I've been most of my life. But the last 10 years have been a struggle every day, every week, just like the rest of you who care about your weight. It's a lifestyle change. And, you have to kind of commit to it. So I actually have these in the back. These are in all my rooms, in my office, this slide, and you can take one home with you. It's a nice piece of plastic and hang it up and explains it. Again, I like things simple. If you do this, you'll lose weight, you'll eat healthy, you'll be great. You take a lunch-sized plate, not a dinner-sized plate, a lunch-sized plate. After all, portions are important. Half of it is fruits and vegetables. Take the other half is lean proteins, half is whole grain carbs. As much whole grain as you can. That's what you eat. You don't have seconds. If you really need seconds, and actually I kind of need seconds. All right, so I have an extra salad, I have some more vegetables. I might have like one extra piece of meat. Try not to have extras of carbs, as much as I love carbs. So that is a simple, healthy diet. Let's talk for a moment. Dieting is really not the answer. It can be, but that's a horrible life. You need to do something else. So, calories in, calories out. If you ingest 1,800 calories and you expend 2,300 calories, you will lose 500 calories, right? And if you do the reverse, you ingest 2,300 calories and expend 1,800, you'll gain 500 calories. It's that simple. Okay. Now, there's one thing that is not on here. It's not just the calories you expend, because different people have different metabolic rates. That's one of the key factors. Some people have a lower metabolic rate, some people have a higher one. And frankly, as we get older, and I hate to say it, our metabolic rate goes down a little bit. Come on now. There we go. Calories minus calories spent equals your weight loss, your weight gain, adjusted by your metabolic rate. So we've seen this before. 5 pounds of fat. Here's 1 pound of fat, here's 1 pound of muscle. You notice the fat is twice the size of the muscle. That's the same weight. So it's much fluffier and bigger. That's why you look big and puffy when you're fat, and less so when you're not. But I want to point out something to you about metabolic rate. Okay? Fat's job is to hold on to calories. That's its job, is to store calories. This is a big store of calories. It is not doing anything. It just sits there. It doesn't burn calories. It just sits there. It stores it. Its job is not to burn. Muscle's job is to burn calories. That's its job. It regulates your body temperature. It will burn calories in turn and keep you warm. And it has to be ready to move, so it has to put its stuff in a state of readiness. It has to burn calories to be ready to move. Just when you're sitting in a chair watching TV, you're doing some office work, you're reading a book, your muscles burn a lot more calories than this fat does. So this is where metabolic rate comes in. If you can convert 1 pound of fat into 1 pound of muscle, then 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, your metabolic rate is up. It is burning more calories. And if it's fat, it's down, and you're burning less calories. So keep that in mind when you're struggling to try and lose weight. One of the things you should be struggling to do, and it's a struggle, is to exercise and turn that into that. Patient, the problem is obesity runs in our family. Doctor, no, the problem is no one runs in your family. So let's talk a little bit about exercise and calories. Okay, and exercise is truly the missing thing here. It's the missing point. Here, 65 minutes of moderate cycling is 2 slices of Little Caesars pizza, but it's 560 calories. You should be eating 1,800, 2,000 calories a day. It's a third of your calories that you're supposed to have in a day in 2 slices of pizza. Now, again, on that Mayo diet where you have a lot of high fiber, a lot of fruits and vegetables, things that are big and fill you up, don't have a lot of calories, so you'll fill up on all 560 calories on that diet. On this diet, you eat 2 slices of pizza, yeah, you're full, but you really need to eat a little something else. Maybe a couple of cookies for dessert, or a can of pop for 140 calories, 4 cans of Miller Lite, 384 calories. So it takes 23 minutes of walking at 4 miles. That's a good pace. 4 miles is a pretty good pace. 1 can of Coke, 140 calories. So, there are things you can do. And then here's an interesting slide. Here's the calories that different things do. Like just sleeping, you'll burn 60 calories in an hour. Just sitting and sleeping. And if you're standing, it's 100 calories. If you're driving, 110. You do housework or office work, and I don't understand this. They equate them at 140 calories. I think housework is more calories and office work is less. But maybe that involves getting up and filing, which we don't do anymore because it's all on our computer. I don't know. But here's a bit of sitting somewhere. Sitting, eating, and handwork, 90 calories. That's what I think is office work, is sitting down these days. So anyway, but if you walk at a slow pace, that's 180 calories. That's twice the calories of sitting. If you do some light dancing, 220 calories an hour. Go dancing every night. That's my prescription. At least 1 hour. Walking at a moderate fast pace. That's my main exercise. I do weights, try and build up some muscle a couple times a week, and I do walking for hours at a time. I'm a fast pace. I do like 360 calories an hour kind of walk, and I'll do it a couple hours at a time. I watch TV while I walk. That's what does it for me. I'm watching The Good Wife right now on season 6. So anyway, the calorie content of different things. Basketball, very intense. Moderate dancing, 600 calories. Running, 900 calories, greater than 10 miles an hour. That's pretty good. Thing. Jogging at 6 miles an hour, 700 calories an hour. Running is your best bang for the buck. It pretty much is. but it's bad on the joints. You get older, it hurts. So walking, elliptical is much easier. Swimming is the best on the joints. So, but exercise is definitely the way to go. One last comment, we're almost done. How does this actually work in real life? I think most of you recognize this guy. For those who don't, his name is Michael Phelps. He might be the best athlete ever in the world. He has won more gold medals in the Olympics in swimming than anyone ever. I don't know if even that's all his medals are probably supposed to be. I think that's all his golds, not including the silvers. I mean, he's all over the place. And look at that physique. Pretty good, right? So he would exercise 8 hours a day. So if you want to exercise 8 hours a day, you'll look like that too. And I don't have the time for that. But look at this. He eats 1,200 calories a day. I'm sorry, 12,000. I said that wrong. 12,000 calories a day. And we're eating 2,000. We're trying to lose weight, 1,500 calories a day, maybe 1,200 calories a day. He eats 12,000. This is half of breakfast. This is not even a full meal. He eats 4,000 calories 3 times a day. I've seen pictures of his food, and it's mostly carbs, and it's huge amounts. Now, if you're going to exercise for 8 hours vigorously, you need that many calories. But I'm just pointing out to you that if you exercise more and don't eat 12,000 calories a day, maybe 2,000, maybe 1,800, you can burn off fat. He doesn't have any fat. You can burn off fat. You can even build up some muscle. So it's within us all. Now, he's a young guy. None of us are that age. So, we have that disadvantage. But you can burn off some more fat. You can do some more exercise. It is good for every last one of us. So in closing, I just want to mention there are a lot of weight loss groups around the city. I know Dr. Ludd at the Wellness Center who works with hormones and weight loss, and some of you know the stories there. I actually know this lady personally, Dr. Gray. She's a young pediatrician. This is her particular passion, her interest, and she has a multi-specialty group that helps her lose weight. And they have a low-calorie diet that they use, not one of the ones I mentioned, they're a specialized one. But there's a lot of different ways. And the Tri-House Surgery Center, I got to say that they have the most experience with the surgical procedures for weight loss in the Cincinnati area. Not that I really want any of you to do that. That's a very select group for that. But, it's available to us. If you need that kind of help, encouragement, that is good. Weight Watchers is one. There's a million weight loss programs. Seek out a friendly doctor. The strongest thing, I think, that you have to do is you have to take this pill. It's the most effective diet pill we sell. Chase it around a handball court for an hour a day. Because I do think exercise is the answer. Let's get rid of this. Let's have more exercise. So that is it. Thank you so very much. I appreciate your kind attention. I'll be happy to take your questions now. And also, I have handouts in the back. I have a little folder about a diabetic diet. If you're diabetic, it's useful. I have a big screen. Could you pick up one of those for me, please? So see that in the back? That's the slide I showed you with the plate split up. And it's very nice, and it's plastic, and you can look at it, and it's a great thing. So anyway, thank you so much. I'll be happy to take questions.
Who's got questions for Dr. Rissover?
None. I love it. I explained everything so well that nobody has a single question.
Here's one right over here.
Actually, there's 3 or 4 in the back, so they were just behind me.
I'm Betsy.
Hi, Betsy.
What about this, like, it's all on TV, Marie Osmond and her Nutrisystems and diets and the South Beach diet that's advertised a lot.
I'm so glad you said that. I mentioned to you all. Oh, I'm in the wrong thing. I keep forgetting. Wrong thing. I have some references too, so if anybody wants them where all this stuff came from. Come on. Diets, A to Z. Pick a diet. So you want to know about the Atkins diet? There it is. Atkins diet, right here. So anyway, the Atkins diet, and there's a million diets. Okay, what about them? Look, there's a lot of ways to reduce your calorie intake. They're all wrong. In fact, the reason there's so many diets is you have to find one that kind of appeals to you. I pointed out high carb and low carb diets to you all. Some people just love their carbs. They can't envision life without them. Okay, the Mediterranean diet. Good, healthy, you'll lose weight. The DASH diet. You really want to eat meat, and you really don't care that much about carbs, well, the Atkins diet has been shown to lose weight and to improve diabetes. The one problem with the Atkins diet, it's hard to live on. I've had so many people lose weight on it, and then they go off of it and binge on carbs. So that's what you have to watch for. I prefer a more balanced approach. A reduced carb diet is okay with me, but a reduced meat diet, a reduce this, a reduce that, but completely avoiding something just leads to backlash, I think.
Other questions? Right back here.
When you're choosing vegetables to eat, are there certain ones you should try to eat more of than others?
Yes.
Like I know carrots have a lot of sugar.
Not a lot, but they have some. Not a lot. First off, it's like, envision this, you have this big graph, okay? And then it slopes down. And, if this is the 0 point, and this is the 1,000 point, and this is calories, okay? So you put every vegetable on the graph, and this has a lot of calories, and this has no calories. And then you list all your vegetables. So a no-calorie vegetable might be celery and lettuce. And that's your best, right? And then next to it is radishes, and you kind of go. Kale and spinach, very low. And then mushrooms, very low calories. And then you'll have carrots, they have a few calories. And it will go up and up. Squash has moderate calories. It's not really a starch, but it has some calories. Then you have your beans, and they have a fair amount of calories. Then corn is really a starch by itself. And then you can take wheat, which isn't bad. It's got fiber in it, and protein in it, and carbs in it, whole wheat. And you grind it up, making the flour, and it's pure carb. And then you mix it with some milk and sugar, and you make a pastry from it. That's not so good. You can take a potato, which has a high fiber rind on the outside, you cut it off, and then eat the inside, and that's pure starch. So, it's a gradient. And I would never tell anyone, always avoid this food and only eat this food. I would say try and eat more of these foods, eat less of these. And look into the gradient.
Dr. Rissover, when you talk about a protein breakfast, give us a few thoughts on what you like best.
So my protein breakfast that I commonly do is I will get a turkey burger, and I have several of these made up in the freezer. So I buy a ground turkey at the store, and I make 1/3 pound, on a large portion. And I wrap them up, and I will season them in advance, wrap them in plastic, put them in the freezer. And I'll take a frozen one, put it on a plate, put it in the microwave, cook it for 4 minutes in the microwave. It's cooked. And so it takes me a minute to cook breakfast and a couple minutes to eat it. And that's a fair amount. That's a little bit more. You're supposed to have a portion of like the palm of your hand. All right, so that's like maybe twice that portion. All right, that's all I'm eating. So that's what I eat. And a cup of coffee usually. But egg whites, a great high protein breakfast. Egg whites, if you don't like turkey. And so really a slice of meat left over from your dinner is a great quick breakfast.
And the turkey burger with no bread or anything, just the turkey.
Just have it on the plate, cut it up, eat it plain. It's like a breakfast sausage. And sometimes I put pepper on it, pretend it's a sausage.
What about periodic short-term fasting?
The periodic short-term fast, that is a fascinating topic. And it looks like it actually might not be a bad idea. Inherently, we used to say you should never fast, it's bad for you. And certainly it's true if the body's in a fasting state, that it tends to want to hold on to calories, and the metabolic rate goes down. And so you may gain weight with eating less food. So fasting in and of itself, while you may lose weight in it, it also slows down your metabolism. So for long-term weight loss, it's not so good. Unless you're really going to just have so little calories, you're going to hurt yourself health-wise. But periodic fast is where you skip a meal or for one day you don't eat. And yes, that apparently, say once a week maybe, can be healthy and can be helpful. Some people can't tolerate a fast, so people shouldn't do it. Some people easily get hypoglycemic. But yeah, I don't have a strong objection. Now, there might be an issue depending on your medicines. If you're diabetic, it may not be a healthy thing to do.
Questions for Dr. Rissover right here.
Hello, what about the paleo diet and its philosophy?
It's on my list. First off, I don't believe the paleo diet is a real paleo diet. I just don't believe it. Because in reality, if you're a Paleolithic person living in a cave or not on a cave in the plains of the Serengeti, insects would probably make about half of your intake. And nobody's going to eat an insect diet. With that being said, let's throw that aside. The idea is you don't eat grains because they didn't really cultivate grains. You eat what? Roots? So you eat root vegetables, you eat things that a Paleolithic person would eat and not processed foods. Very important. And probably not a lot of meat because really, they would eat carrion meat and we weren't great hunters necessarily. That was an occasional thing to eat meat. So I don't recommend it. I think it's a fad diet. I don't think it has good data behind it in terms of health and weight loss. Doesn't mean a person can't use it and lose weight on it. A person can lose weight on any diet. And remember my little teeter-totter, it's calories in and calories expended. And if when you go on a diet and it motivates you to watch what you eat, so your portions go down, so you ingest less calories, and then you start losing weight, that's great. The trick is you got to get enough nutrients to make you healthy. Most of these diets do that. Certainly the ones I mentioned do. Some of the fad diets, we have to be careful. If it's all grapefruit, if it's all soup, are you really getting enough calories? If you're going to be a vegetarian, you actually have to know what you're doing. You can make yourself sick being a vegetarian. You have to get complementary proteins. You can't just eat whatever you want. There's amino acids that are found in some legumes that are not found in some grains. You need to mix them. If you eat all legumes all the time and that's your protein, in a vegetarian diet, you'll get some amino acid deficiencies and get ill. So you have to kind of know what you're doing, whatever the diet is.
Question.
Yeah.
This is Diane, and I have been following the American Heart Association diet, and I found it somewhat confusing because I've gotten literature from Mercy Hospital, Mercy Health Associates, and my cardiologist, and they don't always agree. But as far as the cholesterol, they say stay under 200 milligrams a day. I read labels, and a lot of times it'll say zero cholesterol, 10 milligrams, or 20 milligrams, but you don't know if it's good or bad cholesterol.
Good. A couple points there. First off, there is one DASH diet, but there's a lot of variations. The DASH diet they recommend now isn't what it was 10, 20 years ago. So there's no doubt, if they printed up their thing from 10 years ago, it might well be different from what's now. And they call it the American Heart Association diet. I wouldn't be a bit surprised they have more than one diet for different groups of people, like a diet specifically for cardiac people, a diet specifically for diabetic people. So that could be part of the problem. That being said, now, good bad cholesterol part does not relate to food. It's a very good point you raise. I'm surprised I haven't heard this question more often. So you hear doctors talk about good and bad cholesterol, right? When you get your cholesterol results, right? You have good and bad cholesterol. But that refers to lipoproteins in your bloodstream. These are carrier molecules of cholesterol in your body. So they don't refer to the cholesterol that's in a piece of meat or a piece of animal fat like butter, because that is just pure cholesterol. There may be some lipoproteins, but they're killed. And so they just become something you digest. So they're just referring to the cholesterol. So it's not really relevant in terms of food, whether it's good or bad. It's just all cholesterol. Though there is a good form of cholesterol. Maybe you meant this. Okay, cholesterol is an organic molecule, and they have organic chemistry. There is a right or left and a right-handed molecule to most all organic molecules, and cholesterol is an organic molecule. What does that mean? It means just like my right hand and left hand are the same, but they're not. They're mirror images of each other, and my right hand will fit in a right glove. My right hand will not fit in a left glove, right? So cholesterol will fit in a socket in your body to go to your lipoprotein receptors. But there's a reverse cholesterol, the isomer, the dextrorotary version of cholesterol, that doesn't fit with the sockets. And then it can't be digested. And guess what? It's found in seafood. So when they say that lobster is high in cholesterol and shrimp is high in cholesterol, it's a reverse cholesterol, and you don't really digest it the way you ingest the cholesterol in beef. So, but if you just do a spectrophotometer and you flash it and you check, there's the peak for cholesterol. So, okay, lobster has this much cholesterol in it. It's high in cholesterol, but it's the wrong kind of cholesterol, the cholesterol you can't absorb. So don't worry about it. So yes, eat a scallop, eat some lobster. Okay.
Question back here.
While you're getting the person, I want to thank Nita and Dan because the last 2 years, they've been assigning topics to me. The first time I said, hey, I want to do this talk, and they said, okay, and they let me do it. And since then, they've been assigning topics. So they assigned this topic to me, and I want to thank you. It was a great topic. I learned a lot in researching this. I had a lot of fun doing it. And I've already had some requests from some of my patients. They couldn't make it. They want to hear this talk. So I may give it again sometime in my office because I thought I learned a lot. I don't know. Did you guys learn anything tonight? I'm just curious. Okay, good. I thought I learned something too. Thank you. All right, I'll stay and ask questions as long as you want. Next question. I just wanted to thank Nita and Dan.
Hi, this is Amy.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to know, I understand the equation for BMI, but I wanted to know, how did they scientifically assign the specific range that you're supposed to follow? What's behind that?
Great
And
question.
over history, has there been any fluctuation in that?
We were discussing this beforehand. Why is it healthy to have a BMI below 25? 18.5 and 24.9. Why is that healthy? And why is it not healthy to be a little bit heavier? I mean, after all, the voluptuousness was in what, the 1700s and the Rubenesque period, and people were supposed to be heavy, and it was a sign if you were skinny, you were unhealthy. Well, we've done epidemiological studies, and frankly, they've looked at insurance actuarial tables. People's death rates compared to their weight and their height. And so when you saw, you can make a bell-shaped curve for everything, and then you can do as it turns out, the weight that is best associated with longevity is that 18.5 to 24.9 BMI. So that's where it comes from. Now, why do they divide them up every 5? I think it's just to make it easy to do. There's nothing specific that says if you go to 30 to 35, you have twice the risk of heart disease or 1/2 the risk of diabetes. It would be easy to remember, make it 30, 35, 40, 45 BMI. So that isn't so scientific. But they've done a lot of studies with the BMI, and so they find that, certain BMI is associated with twice the risk of that BMI, but it's usually like a BMI of 38.2 is twice the risk of 18 or something. So I hope I answered that question.
Doc,
Yeah.
so I heard about this is calories in versus calories out. That
Yeah.
should mean you gain weight or you lose weight. Well, what about that wall people say they hit and they've
Right.
lost maybe X more pounds? What's that about?
Well, that's that starvation thing. Your body feels like it's starving. It doesn't have enough tissue. It feels like it can't lose any more. So it sends out signals to slow down your metabolic rate. So even though you're burning calories, you're expending the energy, your body's more efficient. And so it doesn't burn as much to get stuff done. And so that's what happens. How do you break through the wall? I wish I knew. I had a good answer. Some people say you need to eat a little more food because the body is starving. And so you eat a little food, you bring it back up, maybe you do more exercise. It is certainly true that less food and more exercise will always lose weight. But you don't want to be on bread and water and swimming 8 hours a day, every day.
Other questions for our speaker right here.
My name is Norma. What's the difference then between the height and waist ratio versus BMI? And is that a better indicator?
Some people think the height to waist ratio is a better indicator, and it might be. Because again, professional athletes tend not to have a big waist. But they can have a BMI of 35, they're obese. But they're just so tall, they have so much muscle on them that they weigh a lot to their height. So the body to waist ratio is better, and that's just a ratio of your height to your waist. There's no doubt the best measure of being fat is the waist. The absolute single best measure is just simply the waist. If you measure at your belly button, and if you're a woman and you are over 45 inches, you're heavy, and if you're a man, you're over 40 inches, you're heavy. To be healthy, you're going to be under 40 inches for a man, under 45 for a woman. I said that wrong. Sorry, 35 for a woman, 40 for a man. I got those reversed. 40 for a man, 35 for a woman at the belly button. That's what you're supposed to be. So if you have, and fat tends to collect right here, and then it goes outward in the body. When you lose weight, you lose a layer of fat in your whole body. You can't just focus on your belly. You can't focus on your thighs. You can't get it off your arms unless you're doing, liposuction. That will get it in a particular area. But you lose a layer of fat through your whole body. So you lose a little layer here in your neck and a little layer in your arm and a thicker layer in your belly when you lose that layer of fat. But that's the way the body does it. Yeah.
Is there a difference between the powder proteins, like the different kind of whey?
Oh, they're way good.
I understand that, but
I do like a protein myself. I like a lot of protein because it's not a carb. When you eat carbs, you stimulate your pancreas to release insulin. And insulin causes sugar to go into your cells. But insulin also attaches to your fat cells. And it causes sugar to go into your fat cells. So every time you eat some sugar and your sugar levels come up, your body releases some insulin, so you may make a little bit of fat. So if you can eat a protein and not cause so much release of insulin, you may not make so much fat. But which whey protein do I like? That's beyond my scope. I just like protein supplements in general. But, you got to have a variety of foods. You can't just eat protein, right? You got to have the nutrients. You got to have all those fruits and vegetables, all those wonderful pyramids I showed you. There's some protein in there. You really can't have it all be protein. Even the high protein diets, I don't think long term that's a good idea. So I don't mind protein in it. Oh, one last thing though, if you exercise, perhaps you should have a protein drink, some whey protein. Whey protein might be the best protein. Which whey? I don't know. The most whey. But whey is a good protein in general, but protein after exercising may help you to build some more muscle. That's generally true.
Question.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as liquids you should drink while you're watching it. By the way, I'm glad red wine is good to drink.
I'm sorry, what is good to
I
drink?
said I was glad the red wine was good to drink.
Well, some of these diets, it certainly is. A glass a day.
Yeah.
You can't use red wine as your hydration thing.
As far as the liquids, I know that
Not in a day, it was a week.
water's the best.
So,
But if you're watching calories, should you drink like fruit juices because there's a lot? No,
because it's like drinking sugar water.
that's what I was wondering.
Right, yeah, drinking pop brings 140 calories in one can of pop. If it's fruit juice, it's going to have the same calories, You drink a Sunkist, it's the same calories, unless it's concentrated, and it could have more. So, but how much water should you drink is a great question. People always say 5 to 7 glasses a day, right? That's what you're supposed to drink in a day. But there's actually 0 studies on that. Not one. Just like breakfast is the most important meal of the day, there's no studies on that. That's never been proven. In fact, there's a study that refutes it. It says, oh yeah, you can lose more weight if you skip breakfast. So anyway, water is probably good for you. The kidneys don't function well if you're dehydrated. You can harm your kidneys by being dehydrated. So it makes sense to drink a fair amount of water and remain hydrated. And certain medicines some people are on require you to be hydrated because you can harm your kidneys. But is there a number? I still tell people to drink 5 glasses of water a day. It's probably good to fill up your stomach with something. You fill it up with water. That's helpful. Some diets have said drink a glass of water before you start eating. Sure, you got something in your stomach.
One quick last question.
Yeah.
Some of the diet or the fake sugars they're saying are unhealthy because it actually makes you retain your weight or gain weight. Can you kind of explain that?
Yeah. So the theory is, and I don't think this is well proven, but there's some studies to support it, but they aren't well done and not replicated yet, and not in double-blind placebo-controlled studies. But the theory is that if you have NutraSweet or Splenda or saccharin, some non-nutritive sweetener, that it stimulates your reward center to want more sweeteners. So you eat more sweets if you do that. It might be true. I don't know. Certainly, if you stop eating sweets altogether, to a certain extent, you lose the taste. But then sometimes you eat one and then you go on a binge. So there's also truth to that. If you avoid all sweets, you might binge. So I don't know where the truth is with a capital T. I think there's some truth in everything here. That, a lot of these non-nutritive sweeteners, it may sensitize you to it, and then you want more sweets. But I think we all want sweets. We're hardwired that way. Sweets just taste good. So Anyway, thank you so much for your attention. Thank
What do you
Nancy,
say for our guest speaker, Dr. Rissover? Thank you very much, Dr. Rissover. And most of our classes, Dr. Rissover said, for anybody who couldn't make the class tonight, you could just go on empoweruohio.org, and right under the class, you'll see a link that will show you a recording of the class if you have anybody that might have wanted to see the class tonight but couldn't come. So our next session is Thursday night, right here on the beautiful life of Justice Antonin Scalia. It'll be a great class. We hope to see you then. Thanks for coming tonight.